That's it. Push every single one of those ugly Christmas trees into the mud. This neighborhood is finally going to look respectable.
The oaks exploded from the ground, ancient roots snapping. 2 decades of fungal inoculation tore apart in seconds. Samuel Reeves stood at the property line. Bella, the Truffle hound, rigid beside him. His face registered no shock.
Don't react. Let her believe she's won. The reckoning will come.
Well, well. The hermit himself. Come to watch your overgrown brush get cleaned up? It's a public service.
Are you quite finished, Mrs. Donovan?
Finished. I am just getting started. This HOA has standards, and your little forest was an eyesore. Now it's gone.
Samuel turned away, pulled out his phone, and scrolled past his contacts to a number with a +33 prefix. The French Embassy Protocol Desk.
Code Périgord. Activate Paris Protocol.
Another oak crashed into the soil. The man who supplied the Élysée Palace and 3 Michelin star restaurants did not glance back. He had already begun the reprisal. 3 months earlier, those oaks stood in disciplined rows, 25 acres of inoculated soil, the only North American source of French black truffles. Samuel Reeves did not farm for timber. He farmed for the fungus laced through the roots, Tuber melanosporum, cultivated for the French president's table. The orchard held an exclusive contract with the Élysée Palace and 3 Parisian 3-star restaurants, a 20-year mycological marvel.
I've reviewed the architectural standards, Mr. Reeves. That wild overgrowth you call an orchard violates every community aesthetic guideline. These aren't respectable oaks. They're ugly Christmas trees, scraggly, misshapen, and entirely inappropriate for a neighborhood of our caliber.
Those trees host Tuber melanosporum, the French black truffle. I hold an exclusive supply contract with the Élysée Palace in Paris.
The French president? Truffles? Please. We're not falling for some delusional farmer's fantasy. This HOA deals in facts, not fairy tales.
Samuel placed the embossed contract on the table. The French government seal, the Élysée letterhead. The board chair didn't bother to look.
You are ordering me to destroy a classified agricultural asset. The diplomatic implications alone.
Diplomatic. Spare me. We'll proceed with the violation notice. Trim those ugly trees or face daily fines. This board is adjourned.
2 weeks after the board dismissed him, Sharon Donovan hired a local demolition crew under false pretenses. No permits, she told them, just an untidy plot.
Yes, the whole parcel. Rip out every last ugly tree. I want it clear by Friday. Don't worry about permits. It's just an overgrown eyesore.
Samuel Reeves was at a gastronomic summit in Lyon when a neighbor's text arrived, a photograph of a bulldozer inside his tree line.
She wouldn't. She couldn't.
By the time he landed, the oaks were already torn from the earth. 20 years of mycelial networks lay shredded in the dirt. The next morning, he returned alone to the silent wreckage. Bella, the truffle hound, nosed through fresh earth, whimpering.
They didn't just kill trees, girl. They killed the fungus. The truffles are dead.
In the upturned soil, crushed beneath a bulldozer track, he found a fully mature black truffle. It would have been worth $4,000.
She destroyed a diplomatic asset. The French will find out within 48 hours. I only have to wait.
He knelt in the dirt, let the rage drain away without sound. Then he stood, brushed off his green wax jacket, and drove home to wait for the inevitable call from Paris. By noon, Samuel had emailed the 3 Parisian chefs. The message was 3 words: orchard lost, source extinct. Inside the Élysée Palace, the chief of protocol checked the weekly culinary inventory. The truffle requisition was missing.
Yes, I understand. The Périgord source has been severed. This is unprecedented. I'll alert the minister immediately.
The French embassy in Washington received an encrypted cable marked Code Périgord. Active. The agricultural attaché summoned Dubois.
Code Périgord means the American truffle contract has been violated. If we lose this source, the president's state dinners are compromised.
Within an hour, Jean-Luc was on a secure line to Paris, requesting instructions from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yes, Minister. I understand the gravity. I'll coordinate with the State Department and the supplier immediately.
The French government's exotic agricultural monitoring system confirmed the loss. The disruption was now a formal diplomatic incident. Samuel's phone buzzed with a single notification from his French contact. Paris Protocol activated. Stand by. He placed the phone face down on his kitchen table. The machine of international consequence had begun to turn. Sharon Donovan had no idea that her ugly Christmas trees were now a matter of state.
This is not a supply chain hiccup. This is a breach of France's gastronomic sovereignty.
The Ministry of Agriculture confirmed the American Grove was the sole source of authentic Périgord truffles outside France.
The French Republic requests immediate consultation with the U.S. Department of State. This is a code red agricultural incident.
Envoy Claire Bennett was pulled from a trade negotiation in Geneva and briefed on a plane.
A truffle orchard? This is either a diplomatic farce or the most serious agricultural incident since phylloxera. I don't know what you are talking about. That property was an eyesore, nothing more. It's just a misunderstanding. Some delusional farmer made us stink. We had every right.
But the State Department had already dispatched a diplomatic envoy, and the HOA's legal counsel was receiving calls from Washington.
I'll be at his property within the hour. Tell the French ministry we are handling this at the highest level.
Sharon Donovan gripped her phone, a chill creeping up her neck. Those ugly Christmas trees had roots that reached across an ocean.
Mr. Reeves, the State Department is treating this as a diplomatic provocation. Show me the French contract.
Here, $9 million in guaranteed supply to the Élysée Palace alone. Plus 3 Michelin star restaurants. It's all gone now.
The French consider this an attack on their cultural patrimony. The HOA chair could face federal commercial sabotage charges.
I'll testify to every detail. I've kept records of every truffle shipment, every diplomatic dinner, every invoice.
Keith, you have to help me. Some French diplomats and the State Department are sniffing around my HOA work.
Relax, Sharon. We attack the farmer's credibility. No one believes a man who claims dirt fungus is a diplomatic asset.
Exactly. They're weird dirt mushrooms. No court will take this seriously. I'll make him look like a nutcase.
But even as Sharon spun her counter-narrative, a federal subpoena was being drafted in Washington.
I'll need your full cooperation, Mr. Reeves. The United States does not tolerate interference in a diplomatic supply chain.
You'll have it, Miss Bennett. And when this is over, Mrs. Donovan will understand the price of ignorance.
That evening, Sharon Donovan gavelled an emergency HOA meeting, her voice trembling with rehearsed indignation.
This man Reeves is a fraud, a foreign agent trying to destabilize our community with lies about mushrooms. He's un-American. He's claiming his ugly Christmas trees fed the French president. Absurd. We had every right to clear that eyesore.
But Samuel had already sent the Élysée contract to a local paper. By sunrise, the front page read, HOA destroys French diplomatic asset. Within hours, number Trufflegate trended nationwide. The HOA's social media pages flooded with outrage. French television intercepted the story. A news anchor in Paris called it a barbaric act against gastronomy. Cameras rolled inside the Michelin star restaurant Arpège. The head chef stood beside an empty truffle basket. He spoke to the camera in thickly accented English. France has lost its finest table truffles because of one stubborn American woman. Sharon's social media accounts turned into a war zone. The HOA received 30 resignation threats by noon. The board chair, flanked by 2 angry members, approached Sharon. "This is a disaster," he hissed. "You've destroyed us."
They're turning on me. After everything I did for this neighborhood, it's just ugly Christmas trees.
The 3 Michelin star restaurants issued a joint statement. Without Reeves' truffles, our signature dishes will vanish. This is a culinary tragedy of international scale. Food critics from Le Monde to the New York Times condemned the destruction as an act of cultural vandalism. A culinary dark age, one wrote. Online, the hashtag number, Trufflegate, swelled past 1 million posts. Influencers called for a boycott of every HOA-affiliated business. In her own cul-de-sac, neighbors averted their eyes. A woman she'd served on the welcome committee pulled her child close and crossed the street. At a closed State Department briefing, Claire Bennett confirmed that France considered the orchard's destruction an attack on its national heritage.
Keith, you said I could spin this, but they're calling for my head on CNN. The French ambassador is giving interviews about me.
Stop talking to anyone. No more interviews. We'll draft a statement later. For now, just stay inside.
Stay inside? I am a prisoner in my own home. Every time I open the blinds, a camera flashes.
Sharon Donovan had once held absolute power over her neighborhood. Now she was a captive in her own house, the world's anger pressing in on every side. At the State Department, Jean-Luc Dubois delivered a formal note of protest, its black wax seal bearing the French Republic's emblem.
France considers this a deliberate act of economic warfare. We demand the full prosecution of Sharon Donovan.
The note cited the exotic agricultural sabotage statute, reserved for acts that threaten international diplomatic supply chains. Simultaneously, Keith Morrison's phone rang. The HOA had been served a federal subpoena. Sharon Donovan was named directly.
My client is prepared to offer restitution. Anything to avoid criminal charges. Can we open a dialogue with the French ministry?
There will be no settlement. France does not sell its culinary soul. Your client will face the full consequence of her ignorance.
Keith Morrison set the receiver down with a trembling hand. His spin had evaporated. Sharon was completely exposed.
The subpoena is served. Federal marshals will enforce it. The French are insistent, Mr. Reeves.
Good. I've waited years for these truffles. She can spend years paying for them.
The protest note lay open on Keith's desk, a single sheet poised to dismantle Sharon Donovan's entire world. 2 days later, Samuel sat across from Victor Delacroix in a private dining room of a Parisian gourmet club. The mood was funeral.
I am sorry, Samuel. The orchard's destruction voids our deal. My $14 million offer is formally withdrawn.
She didn't just kill the truffles. She killed my exit, my retirement, every future I had planned.
Victor slid the purchase agreement back across the table. The ink was still fresh, the zeros staring up like a verdict.
I understand, Victor. The orchard is gone. My escape route with it.
That night, alone in his study, Samuel opened a leather folder filled with ledgers, contracts, and photographs of the living orchard.
Evelyn, I want to sue Sharon Donovan personally. $14 million, the exact value of the lost sale.
Personal liability. That's aggressive. But with your meticulous documentation, we have a case.
The French criminal case is not enough. She took more than truffles. She took my future. Now I take hers.
By morning, the lawsuit was drafted. Samuel Reeves had stopped waiting for justice and started hunting it. The next afternoon, President Laurent Moreau took to the world stage. The Élysée press room bristled with cameras.
Today, France demands justice. The individual responsible for destroying our exclusive truffle orchard must pay $9 million in civil damages.
In a living room across the Atlantic, Sharon Donovan stared at her television set, remote frozen in her hand.
Weird dirt mushrooms. They were just ugly Christmas trees.
On screen, a news graphic displayed the presidential letter. A red arrow pointed at the embossed seal. The figure $9 million burned beneath. A clip of her outburst looped online. Within minutes, weird dirt mushrooms trended worldwide.
The United States recognizes France's claim. We will facilitate the legal process to the full extent of the law.
The $9 million demand spun across global news bureaus. From Paris to New York, the story was no longer about truffles. It was about accountability. Samuel Reeves watched the broadcast from his kitchen. For the first time since the destruction, a faint, cold smile crossed his lips. 2 lawsuits now hung over Sharon Donovan. A French civil claim for $9 million and a personal damages suit for 14. The walls were closing in.
Sharon, the French civil claim is independent of our criminal case. They can seize your assets directly. $9 million. With 0 insurance coverage. And the farmer's $14 million lawsuit? I have no defense. The board minutes show you were warned. You are completely exposed.
He's ruined us. My husband, my family, the house, the accounts, everything. It's gone.
That afternoon, a diplomatic courier handed Samuel Reeves a certified copy of President Moreau's letter. He opened it without haste.
This goes in a frame. Next to the photograph of the living orchard, a reminder of what was taken and what's coming.
He hung the framed letter beneath a photo of the orchard in its prime, The room fell quiet. An hour later, he walked the ruined orchard with Bella at his side. The soil was cold, the roots dead, but his stride was steady.
She stole 20 years of my work. I'll take everything she owns. Every asset, every cent.
Among the fallen oaks, he felt no anger, only a cold, patient certainty. Justice was no longer a hope, it was an appointment. Sharon Donovan was cornered by 2 nations and a patient man. The trials, when they came, would be mere formalities. The U.S. Attorney unsealed an indictment that Monday. Sharon Donovan was charged with commercial sabotage against French sovereign interests.
It's worse than we thought. The French ministry is pushing for extradition if these charges stick.
Extradition? They want me in a French prison over some dirt mushrooms.
The HOA's insurance carrier froze the entire reserve, citing gross negligence and international provocation. The board members erupted. An emergency board meeting was called. When Sharon entered, every face turned cold. No one met her eyes. A motion to remove her as architectural review chair passed 9-0. The gavel fell like an axe. By evening, an online petition demanded her ouster from the neighborhood entirely. Over 300 signatures in 2 hours.
My own neighbors. They're tearing me apart for some mushrooms.
I'll file an emergency appeal, but the French have already moved for attachment of assets. Your house, Sharon.
Sharon Donovan sat alone in the empty HOA boardroom, her hot pink coat now a target, her empire crumbling into dust. Evelyn Cross filed the $14 million complaint, personally naming Sharon Donovan. The courthouse stamped it received.
Sharon Donovan is personally liable for $14 million. We have the Elysee contract, the lost sale, and the board minutes.
Your Honor, this is a local zoning dispute. Federal court has no jurisdiction over HOA aesthetics.
The French diplomatic protest letter proves this is an international incident with direct federal nexus.
Motion denied. The French protest establishes federal jurisdiction. This case will proceed to trial.
Samuel brought his ledgers to deposition. Decades of Truffle records. Every invoice, every diplomatic dinner. The room went silent. The survey map overlaid with the contract showed the acres reserved for the Elysee Palace alone.
This time lapse shows the orchard's growth from sapling to diplomatic asset. 20 years and 20 seconds.
She has no idea how deep my records go. Every spore, every shipment, every dinner.
The trial date was set. Sharon's legal fees had passed $500,000. The clock was ticking. In a windowless conference room, Sharon Donovan was sworn in. Evelyn Cross placed a single sheet before her.
I had no idea those trees were anything special. Nobody ever told me about any French contract.
Then explain the HOA architectural review minutes from March, where you described his orchard as classified agricultural asset.
Objection. The minutes were taken out of context. Mrs. Donovan was merely quoting the plaintiff's own exaggerated claims.
That man is a liar. He's been trying to con this neighborhood for years. I never saw any contract.
The court reporter's fingers paused. The transcript was becoming a catalog of contradictions. Samuel Reeves was called next. He brought only a small leather journal, worn at the corners.
My grandfather's cultivation log. He inoculated the first sapling in 1971. Every spore, every harvest, every diplomatic dinner is recorded here.
He read a list of dates. Truffle shipments to the Elysee Palace, 2004 through 2023. The room was still. Sharon Donovan's deposition was a disaster. Samuel Reeves was a prosecution. The trial was already lost.
This was not landscaping. This was the deliberate destruction of a diplomatic food source, protected by treaty-level contracts.
A mycologist from the French National Institute detailed the 20-year symbiosis required for a single truffle orchard to mature.
This is the Elysee Palace contract, signed by the President of France. The value of the destroyed truffles alone exceeds $9 million.
The jury leaned forward. The embossed seal of the French Republic glinted under the courtroom lights.
This is a foreign power, using our courts to enforce its culinary whims. Mrs. Donovan is a victim of diplomatic overreach.
I never actually read the contract. I thought truffles were a myth. Just a fancy word for mushroom.
She said it like a confession. The word myth hung in the air like smoke. The jury box went silent. One juror covered her mouth. Another shook his head slowly.
You will now deliberate. The evidence has been presented. The law is clear.
Sharon Donovan slumped in her chair as the jury filed out. The only question left was how much she would pay. In under 4 hours, the jury filed back into the silent courtroom. A verdict form lay folded on the foreperson's hand. The foreperson stood and read aloud. We find the defendant, Sharon Donovan, liable for $14 million in damages to Samuel Reeves. Sharon Donovan's face went white as bone. Her hands fell limp to her lap.
The court enters judgment in the amount of $14 million. I further order immediate seizure of the defendant's assets.
14 million. Not redemption, but justice. She'll pay until there's nothing left.
The judge cited the pending federal sabotage indictment and froze all of Sharon's personal accounts, her house included. The HOA was declared insolvent and forfeit. Board members wept in the gallery. An auction sign was already being printed for her colonial home. The sheriff's deputies had a writ of seizure. Samuel Reeves stood slowly, buttoned his jacket, and walked out of the courtroom. He did not look at Sharon. He did not look at Sharon. He did not need to. Sharon Donovan sat frozen until a deputy touched her elbow. Her empire was dust. Before sunrise, a sheriff's deputy hammered an eviction notice into the lawn of Sharon Donovan's colonial home. A moving truck backed down the driveway. Men carried furniture, labeled boxes. Her hot pink coat hung limp from a garment rack. Samuel Reeves parked his truck 200 yards away. Bella sat alert in the passenger seat. He only watched. Sharon staggered out, clutching a cardboard box. Her eyes found his truck. The box slipped from her hands.
She's seeing the bill now.
He let the silence hang, then turned the key. The truck rolled away, leaving only the sound of moving men and a woman sobbing over a box. Weeks later, a certified letter from the State Department arrived at his property. Inside was a check drawn on the French treasury. $9 million. The French civil claim, paid in full.
9 million from France, 14 from her. It still won't grow a single truffle, but it's exactly what she owes.
He placed the check alongside the framed presidential letter. The debt was settled. The next week, 3 elaborate baskets arrived from Paris. Each bore the crest of a Michelin 3-star restaurant. A collective letter read, Monsieur Reeves, you sustained France's finest tables. Your loss is a national tragedy. A week later, a personal note from President Moreau arrived on heavy cream-colored paper. He wrote, Your truffles graced state dinners for 20 years. France does not forget such service.
20 years. That's what she bulldozed. But they remember.
He opened the wooden box that held his grandfather's cultivation journal and placed the letters inside atop the brittle pages. He added a photograph of the living orchard, taken the spring before Sharon Donovan arrived.
The orchard is gone, but the ledger is closed. Justice isn't peace, but it's a clean end.
He closed the box and carried it to the mantel, next to the framed presidential demand. For the first time in a year, he slept without dreaming of uprooted oaks. Samuel donated 5 acres of his land to establish a truffle research center, funded by the French settlement. Mycologists from 3 continents and chefs from the Dakar School arrived for a symposium on sustainable truffle cultivation. Under a tent beside the ruined grove, they discussed soil ecology while Bella dozed in the shade. The same week, a local news channel ran a segment titled, From Orchard to Embers. It showed Sharon Donovan in a discount store, scanning items with dead eyes. Her hot pink wool coat was gone. She wore a store vest with a name tag that just said Sharon. As the voiceover recited her $23 million debt, her blank face never changed. Footage rolled of her colonial home's auction sign being taken down, the lawn brown. Back at the register, she dropped a can into a bag without looking at anyone. The segment ended with a wide shot of the strip mall. Sharon, a small figure in a uniform vest, ringing up another customer. 1 year later, autumn had arrived. The young truffle oaks stood in disciplined rows, their leaves burnt gold. Samuel Reeves walked the new grove with Bella at his side. Her bell rang softly in the crisp air. That morning, the research team had harvested the first experimental truffle from these saplings. He knelt beside a young oak, scraped the soil aside with his fingers.
Small, imperfect, but the spores are taking hold.
He held it up, the black sheen catching the low autumn sun. Bella sniffed his hand, then nudged the truffle with her nose, tail wagging slowly.
This is what matters. Not the revenge, not the money. The soil, the spores, the silence.
He stood, brushed the soil from his green wax jacket, and looked out over the rows. The orchard was small, but beneath the soil, the spores were spreading. A month later, President Moreau stood before Samuel in the French embassy's marbled hall. He pinned the Légion d'honneur onto Samuel's green wax jacket. The gold caught the light. A reporter's voice cut the silence. "Monsieur Reeves, after everything, what comes next?"
The truffles will return.
He did not elaborate. His hand fell to Bella's head. That evening, they stood at the edge of the new orchard as the sun set low.
It took one woman to destroy it. It will take a lifetime to rebuild. That's all right.
The spores were already threading through the soil. Some oaks already bore a thin mycelial sheen. Samuel Reeves had lost everything. He had taken back everything, and this time the roots were deeper. Darkness gathered. The truffle hound's bell rang once, then silence.